Good evening. I'd like to thank all of you for being here this evening. I want you to know that this is our fourth and last forum this year. And even though this is a different format for us, we are happy that you are each joining us to share your ideas with constituents. We are videoing this forum and it will be available to you probably sometime tomorrow. The League of Women Voters of the Mount Baldy area own the copyright of the recording and will make it available on our YouTube channel and our website. You have agreed that you, your organizations, campaigns, and supporters will not use the forum or any audio or video clips or transcripts for political advertising or other purposes. The League of Women Voters is an organization that does not support or oppose any candidate. And since this video is made by us, it is important that it remain intact. Tonight, you will have 2 minutes to give an opening statement. I will call on each candidate and Rachel will be our timer. After opening statements, I will ask a question of each of you and you will have 90 seconds to answer. I will rotate each time, so please wait until I call on you. And Joe, you're going to get the first question. And the question is, describe the demographic and economic profiles of Citrus students and how you can promote equitable education.
Opening statement first.
Oh, God. I make these errors all the time. Joe, opening statement, 2 minutes.
Opening statement, 2 minutes. Okay. My name is Joe Salas. And I'm running for the Citrus College Board of Trustees, area number 2. I have lived in Claremont since I was 6 years old. And the community college was an educational launchpad for my parents and myself. I served as a traffic and transportation commissioner for 7 years in Claremont. I currently serve as a commissioner for the County of Los Angeles for the Emergency Medical Services Commission. I'm an active member of the Claremont Sunrise Rotary and served as a volunteer for the Claremont Homeless Rescue Program. Not going to higher education was not an option in my family. I followed in my parents' footsteps. I attended Citrus College 3 times. While there, I received a lot of support. There, I discovered some professors that inspired me to learn. That was a great thing about community college. It was a certificate of association degree, transfer to a 4-year, or taking a class as a lifelong learner. Community college is about building relationships to get them to where they need to be going. It is essential to have a trustee, exacting public policy, has experience and expertise in the area they are in. In addition, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley said, the people closest to the pain should be closest to the power. If I was elected to the Citrus College Board of Trustees, I would be the second person of color elected in the Board of Trustees in Citrus College's history of the 105 years of Citrus College's history. I'd be the first Latino elected to the board. And it's essential to have someone who can empower the Latino population that composes almost 70% of the student population. That's part of the next question. I'm an ethics studies teacher at San Bernardino High School. Special education teachers are resource specialists. We deal with everything that can involve a student. We take a very holistic approach to education of our students. We look at if there are any medical issues, what are their learning circumstances. I believe it is important to have a community college. We need to approach the way we do things in a holistic manner. That's how I'd approach the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees, up to them to think of everything they can get in front of them and create a policy that would help them succeed in their learning.
Thank you. Eric, your opening statement.
Well, hello. My name is Eric Kaljumagi. I'm running for the Area 2 seat on the Citrus College Board. Citrus College provides wonderful access to high-quality, affordable collegiate education. As a 21-year community college teacher, I understand what is needed to make a community college work. I know the importance of strong curriculum that transfers to 4-year colleges and the value of career and vocational programs that provide training for local jobs. I've spent my career talking to students and understand the need for modern labs and a supportive environment. Over my career, I've served as both my local college's academic senate president and my college's faculty association president. During this time, I actively participated in budgeting, planning, and administrative work that resulted in completed plans being sent to the Board of Trustees for final approval. I now serve as the president of the Community College Association, an affiliate of the California Teachers Association that provides training for faculty leaders, encourages multi-college discussion, and advocates for higher education issues at the state level. As part of my work, I serve on the California Community College Chancellor's Office Consultation Council, and I interact with the California Board of Governors, which is the state body that approves the regulations that govern the California Community College system. As a member of the Board of Trustees, I will push Citrus to be an exemplary college with strong connections to Claremont teachers, a commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, and seamless transition pathways from high school to college. I will advocate for policies and plans that prepare Citrus's students for future success at both jobs and four-year colleges. And I will also press for improved facilities and state funding for education. In addition, I will ensure that Claremont's interests are addressed by Citrus College so that Citrus truly feels like our community's college. Thank you.
Laura, your opening statement.
First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for planning this forum. They're always the best of the year. I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I was born into the Citrus District. I grew up in Monrovia. And when it was time for me to go to college, I chose Citrus Community College. I was a business major while I was there, but I enjoyed the Citrus Singers while I was there as a performer. I finished my business degree at Cal Poly Pomona. And I just stayed a long time supporter of Citrus College through the foundation and the Alumni Association and the many events. I've lived in Claremont for over 25 years, and I've served on many nonprofits and boards. And I'm active in the community and have made many connections here. As a trustee, part of the role is to be an advocate for your Citrus, in our community. And we need to make the point in Claremont that Citrus is a place for Claremonters. Many Claremont students go to four-year universities, but they need to see Citrus as a transfer option because a lot of students that start at Citrus are able to get into their college of choice by starting out at a community college. And so we need to make that case that they can save so much money by going to Citrus, and it's an amazing place. Also has many career technical programs that would interest our students, and we need to let our students know what those are so that they could see that as an option as well. But Citrus affects us all, even if you don't know someone that goes there, because a strong community college really equals a better economy locally. I'm running because I'm passionate about Citrus. I have strong ties in Claremont. I won't be running for any other position. This position is right for me. I have over 300 individual community supporters, and I want to make a difference at Citrus College. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to start question 1 with Eric, and I'll read it again. Describe the demographic and economic profiles of Citrus students and how you can promote equitable education.
Well, the demographics of Citrus's students vary significantly depending on the city that you're in. You know, Claremont and Glendora are around 50% white. Azusa is probably the most Hispanic of the areas. As a total, the students are about 70% Hispanic, about 15% white, 10% Asian, and 5% Black. Now that's doing some rough rounding, but that's roughly the numbers. The way that you promote equity is with data. You go ahead and look for who is succeeding of your targeted groups and who's not succeeding. And then you go ahead and make a plan. How do you go ahead and put resources to the people that are not succeeding at the same level as the other groups? That's something that needs to be developed on a case-by-case basis. The plan that you use for the biology program won't necessarily be the same plan that you use for the cosmetology program. But you need to go ahead and collect data on your targeted groups, and then you need to analyze data on your targeted groups and figure out, okay, who needs extra resources? How do we go ahead and provide extra support so that the outcomes are in fact equitable? We've been doing this for years, but we've been doing it by the seat of our pants. You know, you go ahead and offer office hours, but you don't until recently go ahead and target people to invite to office hours.
Thank you. Laura, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Describe the demographic and economic profiles of Citrus students and how you can promote equitable education.
Thank you. You know, as Eric said, our demographics are at Citrus are about 62% Hispanic and only about 15% white at this point. And so we have a very diverse population, and there's a lot of other groups in there as well. As a student there, I saw the diversity at Citrus, not just in ethnic diversity, but economic diversity as well. And we know that the student support services are crucial to those that are challenged with economic insecurity. They have food insecurity or housing insecurity. They need student support services. And I think that that's really key, no matter what our budget situation is, that we really lean into our student support services. We know that they did a survey last spring and about 540 students are homeless. Last spring, that's about 3% of the students. They have a homeless services advisor who helps those students. And we need to continually look at the resources for those students that are in need and evaluate, are we reaching all of them? Do we need to increase the funding, or do we need to adjust the funding? It's just super important that we try to make sure that we're reaching all the students that have needs in our student support services so that they can succeed.
Thank you. Joe, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm very familiar with the topic, so thank you, Barbara. Let's take it from here. So this is where I differ a little bit with the people who already answered the question. I believe when you look at data, you look at how people are failing. What I would do as a trustee is approach a model through the resiliency model. And what you do with a resiliency model, it affects everything you teach and everything that you do as a trustee. You look at what is good about the student. You listen to them. The students know how they want to be helped. My approach is to hire more Black and brown teachers. They need to have professors who look like them. If you want to talk about helping students, you need to help people who can get there, who look like them. And also, Citrus College right now is, as my fellow candidates have said, is between 60 and 70, depending on what's the most recent data. It's about 5% African American, and there's about 17% white, 11%, and there's about maybe 1% First Nations students. And of those students, the First Nations population, and actually the AP, the Pacific Islander students, are the ones who are not returning to student campus next year. Citrus College currently has 9.5 of their student population not enrolled this year. That means there's almost 2,000 students who are not going to school. Everything that I have read has been, this is a national trend, and these are students who are low income, students whose families are making them $50,000, who will never go back to school, who will never even go to school, because that is an option for them. We need to do better in serving their students. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, I'm going to start with you for question 2. Describe the governance structure of Citrus College and the Board of Trustees.
The trustees, they hire and review the president and the superintendent. That's our main role. And Citrus governs through approving policy. That's what the role of the trustees is. But they have a shared governance role. AB 1725 was legislated, and that's unique to California, so that the faculty and the staff help to make the decisions of the school. And so the shared governance model makes sure that it's not, we don't just get the trustees just don't get the information from the top down. The information comes from those that affects most, the faculty and the staff at school. Besides the formal role, I think that all 3 of us have talked a lot about talking more to the faculty and staff and getting input from them, and so that there's a better communication model. But that's kind of the role of a trustee. And then the advocacy role is really big for the trustees as well. Thank you.
Joe, you're next.
Okay, thank you. I think the shared governance model of Citrus College is broken. Currently, right now, the certificated full-time faculty union and the part-time faculty union are not agendized on the Citrus College Board of Trustees. If you're not hearing from your faculty, full-time and part-time, at every Board of Trustees meeting, there is a loss of a very huge part of Citrus College. They come together, they talk informally, but the leaders who elect these bargaining units need to be able to collectively speak for their units. I would go even further in saying that a Board of Trustees member should be involved in every aspect of the college. Currently, right now, there are no Board of Trustees members on the DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And I know Laura has also publicly spoken that there should be a trustee, and wouldn't be, if it was one of us, our other colleague. And that's the guiding force of what is going to be happening at the college. I think there needs to be more speaking on a regular basis, and not just every 3 years when there's a collective bargaining agreement that happens between administration, staff, and faculty. Thank you.
Eric.
May I have the question again?
Yes, you may. Describe the governance structure of Citrus College and the Board of Trustees.
Okay. So the governance structure at the college involves administrative employees, administrators, vice presidents, deans, undertaking the work as directed to them by the college president. And, there's other groups that are involved. There's faculty, there's staff, there's students. They are all doing their various role. And where they come together is in the shared governance process. It's one of the things that I find most delightful about the community college system. And it's one of the things that really prompted me to get involved and active as a teacher, because you actually have the ability to have input into how the college is run. If the governance process is working correctly, your students, your staff, your faculty, and your managers are getting together for committees within their skill set and within their representative groups to basically draft everything that comes before the board. The board does not create board policies most times. It does not write the reports that gets published. What they do is twofold. The first is they oversee the process. Is the president ensuring that there is a quality shared governance process? And secondly, they are the interface with the community. The Board of Trustee members need to go ahead and reach out to Claremont to make certain Claremont's interests are making it to the administration, and then overseeing and making certain the administration is following a good shared governance process.
Thank you. Question 3, we'll start with you, Joe. Given the current state budget forecast, what would be some of the guiding principles you would follow if needed to cut the district's budget further?
Can you say that again? There was a cough. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, that's all right. No problem. Given the current state budget forecast, what would be some of the guiding principles you would follow if needed to cut the budget further?
This is the most appropriate question of the day, because if we don't have dollars to educate our students, then we can't. There is the business of education. And what I would do is cut the furthest away from students. Where I work at San Bernardino, during the last economic downturn in 2009, every bargaining unit took 10% over 4 or 5 years in their salaries. That lowered the opportunities. Citrus is also, as I mentioned earlier, facing a deficit in the enrolled students. 9.5% of the students are not going to. Out of the population of roughly 20,000 students, that is roughly almost 1,900 students paying almost $2,000 a year. That is roughly almost $1 million less in revenue to Citrus College. We have to be creative about how we attract students. Citrus College has a broad, diverse, well-funded programs, but really, I would go furthest away from the classroom. Administrators, a good administrator will educate, but they are the furthest away from the classroom. And I would make sure that the future member of the Board of Trustees, that I would make those cuts furthest away from the classroom. Thank you.
Eric, you're next.
Well, if we learned anything from the Great Recession a decade ago, it was that you can't overreact. During the Great Recession, the amount in reserves, statewide and community college budgets increased. We had a tremendous reduction in funding. and yet the reserves increased. When you have a rainy day, and there's a very good chance the next year will be a rainy day, that's when you go ahead and look at actually utilizing some of your reserves. There will be places where you'll have to do some repairs or some one-time expenses using reserve funding. You also need to make certain that money is not escaping out of the general fund. You know, Citrus College, I don't know this last year, the data's not out yet, but for the 3 years previous, 5 million, 10 million, and 5 million were diverted from the general fund to other funds. Now that may be perfectly valid uses of the money, but when you are running short of cash, you don't do that. The most fundamental guiding principle is you provide access. If students don't have classes, they can't go ahead and progress, and your value as an institution is in question. We must allow all students who want to take classes and progress towards their degree to be able to do so.
Thank you. Laura.
I too am very concerned about our economy, but one of the main roles of this trustees is fiscal responsibility. So this is something to be taken very seriously. We haven't mentioned Measure Y yet, but I'm hoping that it will pass so that the school can continue to build and grow. I think that Prop 15 will also affect the income of Citrus. Citrus might gain $5.5 million if it passes. As an educator advocate, I would advocate for Prop 15. We know that the state is holding back some money. The funding is uncertain. Citrus has reserves, but it's crucial that Citrus has some reserves. They can use some of those reserves, but they need to keep reserves to operate efficiently. As Joe said, that there is a decline in enrollment this year of 9.5%. But I believe as soon as the students are allowed back in the classroom, some of those will come back. My priorities would be the two things for student success: that the students have classes available that they need, and that we don't cut class sections, and that they get the student services they need. Because if they can't succeed, if there's something that's keeping them from succeeding, they won't be able to complete. So the challenge would be we'd have to cut somewhere, and we would definitely have to look to see if there's a balance in the administrative expenses, as Joe has said, because the things that are directly tied to student success must stay.
Thank you. Question 4, we'll start with Eric. We started with Joe last time. Yeah. Describe your motivation for wanting this position and some experiences you have had on boards related to education.
Well, it seems as though I've been working towards this position for many, many years. You know, when I moved to Claremont 21 years ago, I got a job as a mathematics and learning assistance teacher. And I started working on that. That was my first goal: to make certain you get tenure, make certain you're doing a good job. But I was really delighted by the shared governance approach. Since I had come from the high school environment where that did not exist, the idea that the faculty could actually have a say in how things were run was just intoxicating to me. I was delighted by it. And so I started throwing myself into all sorts of committees. So I've been on accreditation, budget, curriculum, equivalencies, that's faculty hiring, facilities, information technology, institutional effectiveness, professional development, you know, pretty much all of the places where you go ahead and do work that ends up in planning documents or board policies that are signed off on by the Board of Trustees. I was there at the beginning at the college in which I work. So I currently, as I mentioned, serve as the president of the Community College Association. I serve on the State Consultation Council. I'm engaged with the Board of Governors. I have spent a lot of time learning about community colleges, and the reason why this is so wonderful an opportunity is because you can't use that skill at the place where you work. But at Citrus, I have the opportunity to take all that knowledge and use it for the good of the community.
Thank you. Laura, you're next.
Thank you. I've been on a lot of nonprofit boards, and all of them have related to educational equity. I've spent a lot of time on boards for libraries because I really believe that they're the foundation for our education in our community, and making that available to all is really important. I'm currently the chair of the LA County Library Foundation, and I've worked with the county on funding underserved libraries. I've worked at the Fairplex educational programs for many years and helped present programs that, again, give opportunity and exposure to all students. I think that my opponents have said that this is a position for educators, but I think there's a lot of examples of community volunteers and that have had a diverse background that really add to a board, and their perspectives have allowed them to do a thorough analysis of issues from all sides. My nonprofit work has included policy planning, budgeting, strategic planning, and things that are really crucial to keeping those organizations running. And I think that was a good foundation for the role as trustee.
Thank you. Joe.
Real quick, Barbara, there was some really loud scratching that was going on during Mrs. Bollinger while she was speaking, and I don't know if that's, we can all mute our microphones. I heard it on my end.
I heard it too. I'm not sure where it was. I was muted. So okay. I think it's a good suggestion that we mute when we're not speaking. It was unfair to Mrs. Bollinger to not be clearly helpful.
I didn't hear it.
Okay. So Barbara, can you repeat the question one more time, please? Thank you.
Barbara, you're muted now.
We'll get it. Describe your motivation for wanting this position and some experiences you have had on boards related to education.
Thank you for that question. The reason why I'm running is because we are living through the greatest civil rights movement of my lifetime. I wasn't marching with Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, but I'm definitely inspired by the activists that are in the streets who are coming from the Black Lives Matter movement. And that's why I'm running for this position, because we need to address inequities in every facet of American society. And higher education is no different from that. And what I've served, I've been a teacher for almost 20 years, serving in probably the lowest income high school in Southern California. My average families in my service area, a family of 4 makes $27,000 a year. 90% of the students who I teach are Latino. 10% of them are African American, and they are almost a mirror image of the population at Citrus College. There I serve on, I've served on the on the district site council, where we go over budgets, long-term planning for our school site, and look at different success models. We adopt curriculum for our teachers and do professional development. And I also serve as a liaison to the African American Advisory Committee for our school site. And I believe that I have a lot of experience that would be valuable in long-term planning of Citrus College in reaching the immediate goals of helping our students succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe it's Eric's turn for this question. Right?
I thought I answered it first.
Oh.
Am I wrong?
Okay. No, I'm sure you're right. So question 5. Then we start with Eric before. We'll start with Laura this time.
That's right. I can't hear you. Thank you.
Here's question 5. The Veteran Success Center at Citrus is likely to need to expand in lieu of more veterans returning to private life and needing help with adjustment. What is the role of the trustees with the center, and what do you think you could do to promote success for returning veterans?
I thank you for this question. The Veteran Center is very important to me. It was established in 2009, and then when it was established, it was a model for the community colleges across California. Citrus has been designated a military-friendly school for 10 years, and it was honored for by the White House a few years ago. In the fall of 2020, they had 239 veterans. A few years ago, they moved into a newer facility with an outdoor space. It's my understanding that if Measure Y is passed, that one of the buildings that will be built will have room to house, one of the options is to house a facility for the Veterans Center. I guess, as it is for all my other candidates here, all of us want Measure Y to be passed, and we will advocate for Measure Y. As always, I would look to see if the program will have growth in the future. You know, there's no statistics that say it for sure that it will grow. So we will need to look when that decision is made to see what the statistics show whether growth is needed. And if so, I would definitely advocate for more space for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good on this one. This one has seemed to be very popular in my response to this. What I'm advocating for in my platform is for a new Citrus College Veterans Success Center to be built upon the passage of Measure Y. They say that they're a new facility, but they're currently located in the old Child Development Center. So it is a space that is not appropriate for the usage of what they're trying to do. So that's why I'm advocating for that. And as a person who believes that we should serve our veterans, we're talking about the longest conflict ever in American history. You come back from with our veterans doing 2, 3, 4 tours of duty. If an average, what happens is community colleges love veterans because of the GI Bill. It's free money for them. But many institutions do not. They have good services for veterans. But from what I've read, within 6 years, only 50% of veterans will have reached their degree completion. That's even at a community college. So, and this is in the light of COVID. Citrus College needs to hire more crisis counselors to help our veterans population. Veterans come back not being able to concentrate, not being able to sleep. And Citrus College would be a better place if they hired and had more professionals to staff and to be able to serve our veterans who have served our country in the longest war ever in American history. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric.
Thank you. Well, veterans began to be a separately targeted group, as Laura said, about 10, 15 years ago. They tend to be older than the average student. Their life experiences bring them to a different place. And they were discovering that when they came to a community college environment, they frequently found themselves without a whole lot in common with the other students. So having a veteran space, having a veterans counselor, having a veterans staff that understood what a typical veteran expectancy was like really made a difference in terms of getting them to persist and graduate. So if Measure Y passes, and I certainly hope it does, and I expect it to, a new veterans center, or at least a larger space for a veterans center, is, I think, a top tier priority. If it does not pass, then you have to start being careful with your resources. And there are things we can do that don't cost as much money. For instance, longer hours for the veteran, and possibly spreading out core classes for veterans. Thank you, my dinner just arrived. That deal with, where was I? Core courses for veterans that deal over a longer period of time, so they're not all on campus.
Thank you. We have one last question, and we'll start this question with Joe. Given the changing nature of work in our country today, what do you think is the community college role to provide increased training and education for all of our citizens?
We're talking about diversifying the workforce to meet the needs of the community. If you want to tell me how well a local community is doing, I'm going to tell you that it needs to be matched with how well a community college is doing in assessment needs of growing industries around the community college. Really, but one of the things that is coming out of the Chancellor's office that hasn't been completely done yet, and it's on. There's some policy brief papers, and I welcome Laura and Eric to read these. Is credit for prior experience. One of the things that happens to students at community college is that they get lost in the getting classes, and it prolongs their graduation. What we can do is there's something called credit for prior experience, and this will, if a veteran, like from our last like our last question, comes with an EMT or a medic certificate, that would allow them to get a civilian side credential that would allow them to immediately get to the workforce. If a person already has training as a journeyman, being an engineer or a plumber or someone who lays drywall, they could get credit for prior experience and get a AA if the Citrus College diversified the amount of education they can find. I'm really passionate about workforce development and think it's a cornerstone of what Citrus College does, and they do it the cheapest of any of the higher systems of higher education. Thank you.
Eric. You're muted.
There we go. Okay. Citrus College, like all the community colleges, accepts the top 100% of students. And this is a good thing because I am convinced that the number of good jobs that you can go into straight out of high school will continue to diminish. This doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to need a 4-year degree, a bachelor's, a master's, but you are going to need something beyond your high school diploma. So we go ahead and offer quite a few of those things right now. We offer dental assistance and water treatment. We go ahead and offer auto repair. You know, as we continue to evolve to meet the needs of the community, there needs to be ongoing research, which is done by the Chancellor's Office, of what job categories are next in need. Where do we think we're going to see vacancies? And just as a heads up, they're mostly in the medical and gerontology fields in this area, plus some in logistics. And then we need to go ahead and adapt our programs so that we're not offering the exact same majors we did 20 years ago, that we're offering the majors that are most appropriate for the community that we serve today. That's one of the brilliant pieces of the community college system. It has the flexibility at the local level to address local needs. And I believe that most students can do well by starting at Citrus College.
Thank you. Laura.
Thank you. So first of all, we need to talk about what success is at Citrus College, and it's an AA degree, it's a certification or a transfer, and that's what success is in our community, and we need to make sure that more of our kids are getting success. Citrus College has won a national award for student success, and in fact, their rates for graduation and transfer are better than Chaffey, Mount SAC, and PCC. And so I'm really proud of that, and more of our community needs to know that. But to make our programs more successful, Eric's right, it is all database, looking at the needs of the community and deciding what else that we're gonna put out there. But I think what the trustees can also help with is improving the student experience by finding the internships in our community. We already have Toyota as a business partner, but maybe we, through our connections in the community, can find more of these connections for our lab techs, our medical staff, and we can improve these programs for our career and technical programs. I think that is the success for our students, and that's what's going to make our economic success locally, is having our strong programs at Citrus. Thank you.
Thank you. Now you all have 1 minute to make a closing statement, and we will begin that with Eric.
Supporting and improving community colleges is my life's work. I've participated in shared governance processes for nearly 20 years. I have an understanding of accreditation, budgets, and master plans. I've drafted EEO documents and board policies. I know what I'm getting elected to do. Citrus will probably have less state funding in 2021 and will definitely need to address the Chancellor's Office's diversity, equity, and inclusion changes to our practices that will fundamentally alter how we support students and how we recruit and train employees. This is an exciting time to be a board member, and with 3 new Citrus board members in 2021, I believe that my experience matters and that I can be an effective voice for Claremont. I believe in community colleges. I'm excited about this opportunity to guide Citrus College, and my daughter is a current student at Citrus College. I humbly ask for your vote in November. Please learn more at ericforcitrus.com. That's ERIC, the digit 4, citrus.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Laura.
Thank you. As I've already said, my opponents say this is a job for educators, but I think I bring diversity to this job and I bring a unique perspective, and I've demonstrated this ability in my community. I'm the right choice because of my close affiliation with Citrus over the years through my whole adult life. I'm the right choice because of my years of dedication to the Claremont community. I've formed relationships throughout Claremont and the San Gabriel Valley. I'm the right choice because my years of board experience and business background have prepared me. I'm known to be a thoughtful and dedicated volunteer. I'm not affiliated with any groups that have influenced my decisions like unions or other schools. I can work with those groups. My loyalties lie with the students and the faculty and staff and the Claremont area taxpayers. My passion for Citrus will be evident in every decision I make. For more information, you can look at my website at www.laurabollinger4citrus.com. And I'd like to once again thank the League of Women Voters.
Joe.
Thank you very much, League of Women Voters, for putting this service on for the Claremont community and the rest of the greater service area that we will be representing, one of the three of us. So my name is Joe Salas, and I really think that my campaign is a campaign of the future. I think it's a campaign where Citrus College needs to go. It's not enough to say we had these awards where Citrus College is gone. Some people don't think the Citrus College is broken. I am not here to say that Citrus College is broken, but I don't think it's working equally for all of its students. If you looked at the retention rates and progress rates of each student, you would see that they are not equal. I am here to address those issues. I walk the walk. I am a classroom teacher. I am a union member. And it's not that you have affiliations with groups, but you want to be able to understand what they are going through. You need to understand what they are going through. There is a disconnect if you say, oh, I'm with you, but you've never been down that road before. I have been down that road. I was a struggling student. I actually went back to Citrus College a second time because I was a failing student at the school that I transferred for. Please look at Joe Salas for citruscollege.com. Thank you very much.
I want to end our time together tonight by thanking each of you, not just for being here with us and sharing your views with your constituents, but I also want to thank you for all of the work that you do in your communities. It does democracy good to have people who participate at the local and community level. So I thank all of you for that, and good night.